welcome to ABC Interactive English, everyone. Hello there, I'm Mike.
And I'm Sam.
And today we are going to be talking about some of the most interesting, well, they used to be buildings, now they're not, but they're very interesting and they're places that we might see when we go to the coast, when we're there at the beach or near the shore, when we're looking out at the ocean, especially at night, you might notice something that catches your eye. And then it catches your eye, and then you see it again, and it kind of does that, and then you say, oh my gosh, that must be a...
Flashlight.
No, it's not a flashlight. It's not someone using their cell phone. No,
Morse code.
It's a lighthouse.
A lighthouse, yes.
That's right. I always thought living in a lighthouse would be really wonderful. And then I actually learned what it must be like, and I thought, maybe not.
Yeah,
it's hard to get to a 7-Eleven.
Yes, it sounds actually like a very lonely life if you really were a lighthouse keeper. But yes, these are very interesting buildings and very important buildings for anyone who is out on the ocean.
Very true.
I remember as a kid, I don't know why, but my dad really liked lighthouses, and so anytime we were on a family trip, it was like, here are the sights to see, and there was always a lighthouse on that list of sights to see. So I've seen quite a few. I couldn't tell you where or what their names were or anything like that, but they are very cool, and they are usually in a kind of pretty secluded area because they need to be close to the ocean and kind of separated from everything else so that they can give good light to the boats without kind of being distracted by other lights.
That's right.
So they're cool places to visit.
You don't want to shine the light in people's eyes, but they are there to protect people at sea, and of course also to protect the boats and the ships that the people are in when they are at sea, because of course these lighthouses serve as warning of where the land is so that you in your boat don't crash into something and have the boat sink. And as you said, you visited a few, you don't remember their names or where they were. That actually makes sense because there are thousands of these things all over the world. And the other interesting part that we're going to learn is that they've been around for thousands of years. So really very important buildings or structures that a lot of us don't think about, but they have saved millions, we can probably say, millions of lives throughout history. So let's find out about interesting lighthouses. In the past, sailors sailed at night with only the stars to guide them. If they were lucky, they might see a bright light from a lighthouse. It meant they reached land safely. Lighthouses are tall towers with a light at the top. They mark entrances to harbors and dangers to avoid in the water. All right, so that's a great title. It kind of gives us the main idea of the article, but we're going to be learning so much more. But yeah, it is very true. Lighthouses, thank you, lighthouses, protect people at sea. They do.
Yes, and so we get right into the article. It says, in the past, sailors sailed at night with only the stars to guide them.
Wow.
So yes, long time ago, of course, there's not tons of lights and electricity and things that you can do to kind of see where you're going. So the sailors are using the night sky and the stars to guide them. But I gotta imagine it was just really dark.
Really dark?
It would be quite difficult to kind of see where you're going in the middle of the night. Yes, in the middle of the ocean.
You just crash into anything. You have no idea.
Yes. And so we have this noun sailor in this sentence. And a sailor is just a person who works on a boat. He's part of the crew, helps take care of the boat, helps keep it moving, helps you get to where you're going, but not necessarily a higher level person like a commander or an officer or the captain, but just kind of one of the people who works in the crew. So there's a sailor.
There you go, a worker on the boat, making the boat work, pulling the ropes, and now, of course, today operating the machines, keeping the boat in good condition. It says if they were lucky, these sailors out there on their boat at night, if they were lucky, they might see a bright light from a lighthouse. As Sam said, this is at least about 100 years ago. Today, of course, they have GPS. They can see where the land is. They can see exactly where they are, but that's all very new. So yeah, for thousands of years, if the sailors were lucky in the best kind of situation in the best parts of the world, they might see a bright light from a lighthouse. That would be the only thing that could guide them. As it says, it, the lighthouse, and the light, it meant they reached land safely, or if they were just going by, they at least know where the land is so they can stay away from it and not have their boat crash into a rock or something. I'm not much of a sailor, but crashing into a rock in your boat will probably put a hole in your boat, which will put water in the boat, which is bad.
Yes.
I'm not a sailor, but I'm pretty comfortable I'm confident that holes in boats are bad. Rocks make holes. You know who's good though?
Who?
Tina.
Oh, yeah.
She will save us. She won't sink us.
Okay.
She will help us swim through grammar and vocabulary. Let's go to Tina.
Hello, I'm Tina. 今天我们来聊聊海上的守护者——灯塔。船员过去在夜晚航行时，只能靠星星来指引方向。如果运气好，他们可能会看到灯塔发出的亮光，这表示他们安全到达陆地。我们来看看单字 sailor 名词水手船员 sail 指的就是航行。The sailor told us stories about his life at sea. 那位船员跟我们说他在海上生活的故事。这里还有2个文法重点。第一个 at sea 在海上，这是一个固定用法。举例来说 My brother works at sea. He is a sailor. 我哥哥在海上工作，他是一名船员。那么 in the past 指的就是过去以前。Past 在这里是名词的用法，它的相对说法是 in the future， 意思就是将来以后。例如 In the past, children played outside more than they do now. 过去小孩比现在更多的在户外玩耍。In the future, I want to travel around the world. 未来我想要环游世界。接着我们回到课文当中。
All right, so we are back. Thank you, Tina. So we are still talking about lighthouses, and our article says, well, basically, what is a lighthouse? And it says, lighthouses are tall towers with a light at the top. Well, that makes sense. It's a lighthouse, so there must be a light somewhere. And they build up this tower, and they have to make it tall enough that the boats can see it over the curve of the earth, basically. So you need it to be tall and you need the light to be bright.
There you go. From many, many, many miles or kilometers away, you should be able to see the lighthouse, even if it's stormy or windy or lots of clouds in the sky. That lighthouse's light will hopefully cut through. And what are they there for? Well, basically to keep people safe, but also to act as sort of, traffic signals. The same way we use lights to tell cars where to go or where not, they use lighthouses. It says lighthouses, mark entrances to harbors, maybe a narrow space where the boats have to go through. To be in a harbor, a place they can stop the boat, load, unload the boat, things like that. That's a harbor. Like Kaohsiung has a big harbor. Keelung is a big harbor in northern Taiwan. And also you'll find lighthouses in places where there are dangers to avoid in the water. So they mark entrances to harbors and dangers to avoid in the water. Two separate things, because sometimes we have what we would call a point, or if you want to use a fancy word, a promontory. And you'll put a lighthouse there because maybe the boat's kind of going along the side of the island, and then suddenly where the land sticks out, they might not see that, so they put a lighthouse there. It's kind of like those orange lights they put, when there's a hole in the road and they're telling people to walk around it. You want to avoid that danger danger, avoid crashing into that rock and avoid having your boat sink. You can probably tell that when we avoid something, this verb means we are trying to stay away from some kind of danger or something that could be bad or something that could hurt you. So people might say, avoid that house, there's an angry dog who lives there. Or avoid that part of the town when you go out at night because it might not be safe there. Or avoid eating too much junk food because it's not good for your body. So try to stay away from this thing. It could give you trouble in some kind of way. We should never avoid Tina, though. She's wonderful. Let's run to her and give her a big hug right now.
灯塔是顶端有灯的高塔，指引港口航道以及水域中需要避开的危险之处。我们来看单字 avoid 动词就表达避免、避开。I always avoid busy streets during rush hour. 我总是避开尖峰时段交通繁忙的街道。接着我们回到课文当中。
Okay, so let's go over to the second part of our article, learn more about lighthouses, and then we'll be right back. Traditional lighthouses are on land near coasts. Modern ones are on platforms at sea. People used to live in lighthouses. They kept the lights working right. Now, most lighthouses have machines to do that. Okay, we are back, still talking about lighthouses, our shiny friends in the night sky, especially when we're on a boat. Now, lighthouses, as we're going to learn, have been around for thousands, that's right, thousands of years, but they have changed in that time. Yes.
Yes, and so right now we are talking about traditional lighthouses.
Traditional lighthouses are on land near coasts. Modern ones are on platforms at sea.
So of course, before when they're building these lighthouses, they kind of just have to stick to the land because they might not have the technology or anything to put it out on a platform and build it up out there in the middle of the ocean to kind of, help the boats farther at sea. But they can, and they did, build their lighthouses near the coasts. Okay, in this sentence, we had this word coast. And coast, it just means the land that is close to a sea or ocean. So it can include something like maybe the city that's also close because you can have coastal cities and things like that. But it just means that you are close enough to the ocean or the sea that you can see it. And you're not somewhere inland, you're not away from the ocean.
There you go. And the coast can be anything. If you're on a beach, that's the coast. If you're on a cliff, looking down at the water from a mountain or something, still, you're near the ocean. You're on the edge of the land and the ocean. You're on the coast. And yes, so they used to build them there, right? We often think of that kind of white tower. It might have like red stripes on it and a light spinning at the top. That was the old style. But now, of course, to be even safer, they put them on platforms out at sea. A platform is basically like a floor that you build somewhere where there's not a floor. So if we think of a stage, well, yeah, that's a kind of platform. It could be almost like a really big building that has kind of a table shape. Often when they're working out on the ocean, those big things that get oil from under the ground, that's an oil rig or a platform that they build all these machines on. So kind of think of something like a table. It's flat, it's probably square or round. It might be made of metal because it's out there in the ocean, and then they put a light on top of that. I guess that's safer, right? Because it keeps the boats even further away from the land. Boats these days can be really big. And so if they got even a little bit too close to the coast, it might be dangerous. So putting these lights on a platform. And I guess the other thing is if the boat hits the platform, it won't do so much damage.
That's true.
If the boat hits the coast, the land, it would be a lot more dangerous for the boat and the sailors. So there you go. It's on a man-made table or floor or structure, flat on top. That, my friends, is a platform. And it's also a great time for us to go to Tina, who, like a lighthouse, will always guide us towards good English.
传统的灯塔在靠近海岸的陆地上，现代的灯塔则是设在海上的平台。单字 coast 名词就表示海岸、沿海地区。The hotel is located near the east coast. 饭店位于东部海岸附近。Locate 指的就是位于。Platform 名词平台。Tom walked onto the platform and started to speak. Tom 走上讲台并开始说话。文法的部分刚刚提到了 on land 在陆地上。举例来说 The animals came out of the water and rested on land. 那些动物从水里出来，在陆地上休息。接着我们回到课文当中。
Okay, we are back. Still talking about how lighthouses have changed over time. We learned that originally they were on the land, on the coast. Now they're on platforms, kind of floating tables or floating surfaces out in the ocean. And that's also kind of changed how they work. As it says next, people used to live in lighthouses. So a long time ago when they were on the coast, kind of a big tall tower, a person, a lighthouse keeper, they would call that person. Often it would be an older couple or something like that because, again, they might not even have electric lights. They might have gas or something burning up there. And of course, someone had to make sure that it was always working. If the light goes out in the middle of the night or in the middle of a storm, people could die, boats could sink. So people used to live in these lighthouses, of course, very far away from where most other people were living. And their job was, as it says, they kept the lights working right. So they would polish the glass, make sure the light was working, make sure it was spinning so that people could see it from everywhere. And that was a very important, but probably a very lonely job for the people who lived out there.
Yes, and I think that kind of goes to show you why it's called a lighthouse and not maybe like a light tower or something like that. And it says now most lighthouses
have machines to do that.
So the machines just were run by themselves and maybe somebody just has to come out once a week or once a month.
Once a year
Yeah,
even.
and just double check, is everything still working?
Yep.
All right, great.
There you go. And I'm sure they're probably operated by a computer from somewhere downtown or somewhere far away. So it's all run through machines and computers and automation, to use a fancy word for machines that work on their own. And so that is all the time we have for today, but we will be back tomorrow with more about lighthouses, including one of the oldest and most impressive lighthouses that you will never be able to see. I know, it's sad. Come back and join us for that, though.
In the past, sailors sailed at night with only the stars to guide them. If they were lucky, they might see a bright light from a lighthouse. It meant they reached land safely. Lighthouses are tall towers with a light at the top. They mark entrances to harbors and dangers to avoid in the water. Traditional lighthouses are on land near coasts. Modern ones are on platforms at sea. People used to live in lighthouses. They kept the lights working right. Now, most lighthouses have machines to do that.
我们来复习一下这一课的重点单字跟文法。单字的部分 ，sailor 名词水手、船员 ；avoid 动词避免、避开 ；coast 名词海岸、沿海地区 ；platform 名词平台。接着我们来看文法的部分 ：at sea 在海上 ，on land 在陆地上。Jennifer saw several dolphins on her first day at sea. Jennifer 在海上的第一天看到好几只海豚。After the flight, we were happy to be back on land. 在搭机飞行后，我们很高兴回到陆地上。In the past, 过去以前。In the past, women didn't have the right to vote. 女性以前没有投票权。In the future, 在未来。I want to be a doctor in the future. 我以后想当医生。以上就是这一课的重点单词跟文法，那我们下一次再见喽，拜拜。
I'm sure many of us have had the lovely experience of eating suncakes, but have you ever had the opportunity to make them yourself? If this sounds like something you'd like to try, then I have some good news for you. In addition to buying suncakes, visitors to the museum can try making their own. This activity is open to both adults and children. Each participant can make and take home several suncakes. After washing their hands and putting on masks, participants get hands-on with rolling pins, dough, and maltose filling. If needed, bakers are always there to help. Some say that homemade suncakes are the best. Making your own suncakes definitely gives you a deeper appreciation for this delightful Taiwanese snack. So, what are you waiting for? Let's get our hands wet and make some suncakes.